Hey horror fans, Bored Now back with you. On this video I'm going to be talking about The Strangers Chapter 1 and its man of the hour Renny Harlin back from the wilderness to direct not one, not two, but 3 Strangers movies. Well, let's just see how that works out for you, Renny. But welcome back. So full spoilers from the start of this review. I'm going to be summing up my thoughts. I went to see it today. I wisely used my second free cinema ticket for the month, and it's definitely one of the more bizarre stories of the year. The Strangers not only coming back to it, but it being Renny Harlin, who we know for being quite a strong, well-known 80s/90s action director. He did direct A Nightmare on Elm Street 4. That was his one big horror movie from the past. So yeah, we had a couple of Strangers films originally. You got the hooded mystery family lurking outside doors, and it kind of reinvented or reintroduced the home invasion subgenre. But did we really need it to come back? Like, how much can you do with it outside of the original movie? So the reactions for this over the weekend was very strong, very extreme. Basically sounded like people hated it, and they were saying it's one of the worst movies of the year. So I didn't really expect that. I sort of expected that I was going in lukewarm and that it could be bad, but I didn't expect it to be good. I was definitely lukewarm, but in a way it wouldn't have surprised me if it was like solid or maybe moderate, and maybe I'm just indifferent to it. So the only real difference from the other Strangers movies is you've got this recently wed couple. Madeline Petsch of Riverdale fame plays the lead girl Maya, and the other guy is Ryan. That actor looked familiar actually, but I wasn't sure what I've seen him in. So they're a young newlywed couple and they're driving through town. They break down, so they decide to stop off at a diner, and they come across all the townsfolk in this small, quaint sort of town, and it's the familiar setup where they're not quite sure how to take some of these characters. Like, some of them seem quite passive aggressive when Ryan refuses to have a drink with them at one point. You've got a girl who seems quite friendly but is like trying to force the religious aspect onto them, and they come across a collection of characters. So they're staying in a cabin for the night, and at one point Ryan goes off because he's getting his motorcycle fixed, and that's when the horror plot really starts to come in. So you've got this mysterious girl lurking in the shadows in a hood, and she keeps coming to the door asking for someone who doesn't live there. And as the night goes on, things go from there as the strangers of the title start appearing more and more, and the horror plot gets started. So really, to sum up, I think it is a very bad movie. It was a slog to sit through, and it was pretty dull and boring to watch overall. It wasn't the worst thing ever. It wasn't as terrible as some have made out. That's just my opinion. Like, some people might disagree, but I wouldn't quite say it's down there in the dog shit. Like, it's not. There's been worse this year. Taro, I'm looking at you. Terrible. And also Baghead, I'm looking at you. Those two are both, or have been both, worse this year. So that's my thing. But it was rubbish. It was really, really bad in a lot of ways. And by the end, it just felt like it was pointless bringing this back. So let's start with a little bit of the beginning and the setup, because the setup and the early part of the film wasn't too bad. Like, there was some decent stuff. It was hit and miss, but there was some okay setup stuff with them driving into town. And I like how when they were in the diner, it subverted it a little bit because you did get some of the folks being quite friendly. And there was a little bit of humour because a lot of modern horror films take themselves a bit too seriously. So they did work a bit of humour in there. Not saying it was the greatest humour ever, but it was there. So I did appreciate that a little. And I do like how like one of the locals is asking about. They're not newlyweds. That was a mistake. They're just. Because that's a thing in the movie. You can tell I'm already forgetting this movie, but like they've been together for 5 years, so the question gets asked: 5 years, why no ring? And it's like, what are you waiting for? And Ryan pops back with, I'm waiting for it was Turkey Club or Turkey something or other, but the food basically. And yeah, I sort of love the blank stares, and it's hard to read the room in that scene. So that was something I would say I quite liked. Then they just didn't go full blown with these people are freaks or they're acting weird and they must be dangerous. There was a little bit of a mix, and they worked it in. Like, there's some tension with Ryan and the guy fixing his motorbike a bit later on. But on the other hand, there's some really bad dialogue in the movie. It's like, who the hell talks like this as they're driving into town? I think at first I didn't mind them too much as a couple, but then start talking things like Madeline Petsch, Maya's character, is like reading out the town's population in a news reporter's type voice, like it's so charming and quirky. Later on, they're talking about a kiss my ass birthday bash, and it's just like, yeah, who talks like this? There's some really terrible dialogue in this movie, but as it got on, because I really didn't like the lead characters, especially Ryan. Because Madeline Petsch of Riverdale fame, I think she's really good and has a lot of charisma. I think she's one of the best things in Riverdale, without doubt. But Ryan was just too douchey at times and too bland and monotone. Like, he was getting overly douchey with the mechanic, like, because he had this whole thing where, like, we've just drove in, we've got into the diner, and then weirdly it's broken down and they just want our business, and he just went to 5 to 10 in such quick order. And as I said, there's a grab bag of a lot of things, but Ryan did get quite annoying quite fast. So just talking about Madeline Petsch, because I don't know if she's a bit miscast in this, but it's funny because later on, when she's alone, home alone, you might say, she starts acting quite unnaturally. So she thinks someone's lurking outside. So what do? You play the piano. And you can see Harlin in that scene going for something quite moody and supernatural and otherworldly. Like, it's got quite a weird vibe. Some of the scenes he shoots quite well like that, because there's no doubt he's a solid director and you can see him going for something. And in that scene, she's at ease with the piano and one of them appears in shot and it's in the mirror. But even so, for her to be like kicking back like this when she thinks there's something dangerous like this, I can see how she's escaping. But as it goes on, it just gets more and more dumb because this stuff is telegraphed. So she plays the piano at one point, she gets high at one point, then she takes a shower, which is fine, but then we see one of the strangers appear in the bathroom basically and watching her, and it doesn't do anything. It's just standing there, and it's not like she sees it, so it's not like it's playing mind games because she doesn't even see it. And this just feels like killing time, just giving us a cheap little look. But what's the point in showing these things that soon before the horror starts? You know, wait until the main horror part of the movie starts. But I just thought that was really cheesy, and I think by showing them too many times, it does make them look weaker, and it stands out how silly some of the masks look as well, because I think they do when you look at them closer up. So, yeah, it really made them not very scary for me. I will say the stranger's entrance is a decent moment. It's a pretty good reveal. I do like the kind of jump scare of the animal suddenly appearing at the top of the room on the light or something hanging there, because they're trying to relax and have a beer and then they see it. So that was one of the best scenes of the movie, but then it just spirals from there because Renny Harlin gets into his action mode, and that's part of the problem. He is a decent director, and there's some good direction in the movie, but like he just directs everything like it's a 1980s action movie. So like they tried to escape on Ryan's motorcycle, and it goes up in flames. There's a fire, and it just becomes more like an action movie. At one point, they're playing like an 80s synth type on the score. And again, that felt very Terminator. And that's good in the Terminator. It's not so good in this horror movie. Not really. So the tension dies quite quickly. The movie as a whole it's not really scary, maybe bar one or two small moments. And the cat is just out of the bag too soon. So the movie can't really pick a tone. And also, I've got to call this out because I think Madeline Petsch's character is too much of a damsel. Like, she cries a lot, she gets a lot more emotional than Ryan does, which is fine, but I think they're definitely making him a more masculine action hero type character. So I wonder if that's just how Renny Harlin... I don't know if he wrote this actually, but if he did or he had a hand in the script, I don't know if that's just his stereotypical way of like casting and like women in the lead role. But the lead guy, up to a point, barely shows any emotions. Even when he should be scared, even when he should be shitting his pants, he barely shows any emotions. So Madeline Petsch is wasted. She deserves much better. And then you've got shit like bashing the car over in another attempt to get away over and over again. Again, more action movie. Ryan is straight out of that mould. Typical action star, melodramatic line, which they build to, but I love you, etc., etc. As I said, the synth action score, more Terminator. So, another dumb line, which I'll probably leave you on. You know how they say, the first kill is the hardest. Well, this is my second. Ryan trying to act all badass, whereas he's anything but. But I mean, that's roughly it. In the end, Ryan gets killed. Maya survives, and she ends up back in the hospital. For a minute, I thought they were going to do a twist where she dreamed the whole thing. But no, she survives. She's in the hospital. But it's to be continued, basically. And oh no, this really doesn't bode well for the trilogy. I at least went in expecting a shit movie because that's what I'd heard about, and I think it is a shit movie. Renny Harlin was in semi-retirement. He hasn't done anything for quite a while, and this may well prove to be a mistake. It'll be interesting to see how the film does at the box office. I guess I'll see part 2, which I know comes out later this year because I'm a glutton for punishment. But in any case, that is The Strangers Chapter 1. It's a shit show, pretty much. I would wait for streaming. But if you've seen the movie, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always. And share me out on social media. You can also donate to the channel through PayPal on the channel link. It's on the channel page. And you can also support me at patreon.com/borednow for as little as $1 a month and help keep stuff like this coming. Help keep me sane. Thanks guys. Keep watching horror movies. Better ones than this. See you soon.